Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello, my renegades, and welcome back. And we are on Top Boy season 3, and we are now on episode 5. And the episode is called Has It Come to This? Now, as I always say, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so when you know I am doing videos. And now we'll get into the season. Not the season, the episode. The episode, I should say. Bloody hell, it's been a long day. It's been a long day, lie me. It's been a long day. So, basically now we know that Jax has stole the food and Kieran is very much aware of it. Okay. And as all I will say through this episode is Kieran can't lie worth a damn, and his lies are going to come home to roost, but we shall get there in this episode. We shall get there. We see that things have escalated at Summer House because now the bailiffs have arrived and they're trying to keep people out, but they're still trying to stop it. So things are beginning to escalate on the estate. And this is where I mean that people keep thinking that Sully is stupid. Like, people keep thinking that Sully is stupid. So when the woman calls Sully that the food is gone, Sully goes round to the house. Now, the first person that he calls after that is Kieran. He needed Kieran to come meet them there to basically talk to Kieran and find out what happened and who he spoke to and who does he think that it might be, basically. And this is why I say Kieran can't lie worth a damn. But I understood why they painted it that way, because it's the plot. It was the plot of the show in regards to the journey that Kieran now has to take. How far is he willing to go to protect Jax in all of this? How far is he willing to go? And this is why I said the decisions that Jax makes from here on out, or from the time that she decided that she was going to steal that food and involve Kieran, she signed his death warrant. That's all I'm going to say. She signed his death warrant. So basically from that, what Sully didn't know is that Kieran had called Deshane. So when Deshane pulls up, after he's telling Kieran to come get in the car so they can catch up with, so they can go to the Jamie's little fraction to speak to them, because Kieran has basically blamed them and said that they may have been aware of it. He said that he didn't mention anything about Jax at that point. He didn't really put Jax in the picture at that point. They did ask about Jax, or I think it was Deshane that asked about Jax, and he was like, no, she's just lost her sister, yada yada yada. And Deshane was like, well, I don't give a fuck. Now my thinking is the only reason why Kieran called Deshane to bring Deshane into it is because he thought Deshane may be able to save him from the impacts of Sully. But this is where their thinking is skewed, because at the end of the day, the beast is out of the cage with Sully. Sully don't listen to the shit that Deshane says. Deshane can't control Sully no more. So they were making the wrong move, but they didn't know what was going on behind the scenes between Deshane and Sully. They still thought that Deshane and Sully were tight, but didn't realise that, no, their friendship is literally sinking like the motherfucking Titanic. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's sinking. Their friendship is. There is no longer that tight camaraderie between them. So in terms of Kieran calling Deshane, he made the wrong move, because that made Sully even more worried and even more concerned in regards to what the hell it was that Kieran was hiding, that you would need to go behind Sully's back and call Deshane to ask him anything. So you see Kieran and Sully, and I think one of Sully's friends, I can't remember his name, go to the Jamie's fraction of the house. Stefan is there and everything. So they end up going in, and basically this guy is nonplussed. Sai is nonplussed, because at the end of the day, Kieran's lying. Sai is nonplussed. So Sully starts in on him, like, do you think I'm stupid? Asking him about the road and everything. And you could see Sai was confused as how. He was like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. But it wasn't until Sully put that gun in that boy's mouth, and that boy was literally looking at him, pleading with his life, and then ended up getting sick on him, I think, due to the freaking fear that he was going to get a bullet in his mouth, and also the pressure of the freaking gun down his throat, which wouldn't have been nice. that Sully then knew from that point, or I think it might have been from when Sully walked into the door and was asking the questions that he was asking, that Kieran lied. That Kieran lied and literally nearly got a boy killed because of that lie. Nearly basically fucked up his shit, because don't forget, that's Jamie's fraction. They don't own no loyalty to Sully in any way, shape or form. Right now, they're riding with him and doing what he wants them to do because it's the only life they do know. But the moment that Sully did what he did, it lessened the respect in their eyes in regards to him and in terms of any kind of clap back towards him. So Sully knew from that point that he'd made a mistake in listening to Kieran. So this is where I said Kieran cannot lie worth a damn, and he'd already sealed his fate. So then you see Deshane and Kieran and Sully's friend go off to Jack's place, because basically Kieran then let slip that, you know, yeah, Jax knew where the house was, but he didn't think that she would do that, because at the end of the day her sisters had just died, and you know, Deshane said don't give a fuck at the end of the day, and nobody did. So you see literally you see Kieran texting Jax, basically giving her the heads up that they're coming over to her place now. So you see Jax literally call her girlfriend, because her girlfriend and the baby is at Jack's girlfriend's house, basically saying, pack a bag, we need to go, we need to get the fuck out of here. Now, you'd think to yourself at this point, yes, Jax, we know what you did. But now it's kind of like there's no coming back from it for her, because it's kind of spiraled now. It's kind of spiraled. The time to not get involved in that shit or do what she did would have been when she made the decision to go steal the food. Now, we all know why she made the decision to go steal the food. She did it because of what happened with Lauren, and she's got the realization that the shit that she's peddling and the shit that they're doing is killing them. This is where the comment comes from, the food is killing us, which is true. That's what it was doing, basically. Would she have done that if Lauren was still alive? No, I don't think she would have. She would have continued doing what she normally did. Anyway, so Kieran manages to send out the warning. You see Jax basically leaving the place. As they pull up, Jax pulls off. Jax manages to pull off and they don't see her. So then you see Kieran literally deleting those messages off the phone, and I'm like, yeah, you better delete those messages because they will see them. But then I'm like, if it's an iPhone, doesn't it like go into your deleted messages and you can still try and retrieve them from there? But anyway, so they all get out and they all knock on Jack's door, but there's no answer whatsoever. So basically the next step is, where's the girlfriend's house? Now, you see Kieran stuttering, basically saying, I don't know, but I may be able to find it. And Deshane's basically saying, well, you better freaking find it at the end of the day. So just before they go off, Sully, or I think it might have been Deshane, gets Kieran to phone Jax. At first, Kieran wasn't going to do it, and this is what I mean by you're not acting the part, you're not showing them any confidence that you don't know who's took the food, because they know Jax has took it. They're just waiting for you to turn around and say that you motherfucking lied and you know where it is and you know what she's doing with it at the end of the day. But he wouldn't. He still kept on playing this facade, thinking it was working, and it weren't working. All I kept on doing when they clicked the button for Jack's number and you see it skipped to Jax and the number came up, I was there saying, Jax, don't answer that phone. Don't answer that phone. Don't answer that phone. But the flip side is, my thing is they knew that Jax had it because she didn't answer the phone to Kieran. Now, her and Kieran are like that. And if she didn't have an inkling as to what was going on or to what was happening in the background, yeah, bearing in mind, Sully had already texted her to say, look, I need to talk to you because something's going down. She would have been on that phone to Kieran. Like, really would have been on that phone to Kieran. So again, that's another piece to the puzzle that they then realise that they know Jax has something to do with their food going missing. So then as the scene moves on, you see that Deshane and Sully pull up to Jack's girlfriend's house, and they literally again managed to get away. They managed to get away. Just as they do pull up, they get Kieran to knock on the door, but there's no answer at all. He wasn't boop, 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 Jax, boop, boop, boop. Not at all. He wasn't doing any of that. So basically Sully asked him for his phone. So as Sully's looking through his phone, he's there looking, and Deshane is clocking him, looking, asking, "Are you all right?" And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you're baiting yourself out now. You're too nervous now. They already know, my love. So it's a waste of time even lying now for Kieran, because they already know what the fuck has happened in regards to their food. They already know that Jax has got it. So as Sully gives Kieran his phone back and then tells him to get off, that he's not coming with them and they're not going to give him a lift, basically. So what has happened from there is this is where I said they underestimate Sully. I'm going to keep saying it, they underestimate Sully's thinking patterns, because Sully was already aware that Jax is the one who took the food. Deshane's already clicked on Jax is the one that took the food, but Sully's already aware as well that Kieran was the one who shopped it out and had something to do with it, and is now protecting her from this. And the reason why he decided to let Kieran go is to lull Kieran into a false sense of security that they haven't clocked on. But Sully had already planned his next attack when it came to Kieran at the end of the day, because he said he ain't giving no passes to people that cross him. He ain't giving no passes to people that cross him. So all that did was just slow down the inevitable for Kieran. So then you see Jax literally explaining to her girlfriend why she took what she took. Because the girlfriend was harping on about how long are you gonna hide, and I thought you would have to hide for the rest of your motherfucking lives. There's no way you could live round ends or live where you live with Deshane and Sully still at large, because they would consistently try and get you. There would be no way out for you. There'd be no way out for you. And if they couldn't get to you, they'd either get to your girlfriend. I don't think they'd go as far as doing anything to the nephew, but they would definitely do something to the girlfriend. That's how I would see it. And Jax would not know a moment's peace. So Jax kind of knew then what she had to do, and she had to try and give it back. She had to try and work out a situation in which she could give the shit back and then get herself out of that situation scot-free. But we will see how that went on for her. To Stefan and Erin. And Stefan and Erin are talking about the connection that they have with Sully. So as Erin's talking about her dad, I then realised who her dad was. Like, from the early episodes, I realised who her dad was, because if you think about it, when it used to be Jax, Deshane and Sully, there was another black guy that used to run with them as well from when they were kids growing up, and his daughter was only young at that point and going to school. So I remember her dad, and it was Sully that killed her dad before the other episodes involving Jamie came about, I believe. And it was Sully that took her dad out and shot him in the head on the top of a roof. And he knew he was going to go. He knew he was going to go. And I remember the scene where he did kiss his daughter on her head, basically saying goodbye to her, because he knew what was going to happen. So I knew who the dad was. So at this point, Deshane was talking to the solicitor. The solicitor basically told Deshane that they have his prints and DNA and everything there. So at that point is when Deshane knew that he was fucked and he needed to find a way to get out. He couldn't go back to his flat because the feds were watching his flat, basically. So the only other person that he could go to get help is Shelley. And Shelley was quick to open up and help him, basically. So they had their little talk, and Shelley sent over... I forgot what her name, but sent over one of her workers from the shop to go to Deshane's flat to get his passport, to get any other bits of money that he had in there, because it would have cost him at least 20 something grand or even more on top of that for him to literally get out the country, because there was a person that the solicitor knew was going to connect him with in order to get him the fuck out of the country, but he needed to get money. And this is where I'm saying that things are literally coming to a dead end for Deshane. You could literally see the journey that his life was taking at that point in time, from where he started up there, and then his trajectory just went board off. From when Life and Lizzie took that money, that was it for Deshane. Like, completely, that was it for Deshane. And this is why I say money is the root of all evil. Money don't bring you happiness. Like, it can make your life comfortable, but it doesn't necessarily bring you happiness. It just brings you more problems. That's how I see it. It just brings you way more problems, and it brought a fuck ton of problems for Deshane at that point. So then you see Deshane waiting for the Shelley's friend to go into his flat. You can see him watching, and the feds were looking at the pictures. So I'd already clocked that Shelley couldn't go because they would already know that he was having a relationship with her. They would know who his connections were. They just wouldn't have known who this person was, which was a good call on their part. So she managed to get out with the stuff, and then he walked around, and then you had another set of feds chasing him. And I was just like, how the mighty have fallen. Like, seriously, how the mighty have fallen. And then desperate times calls for desperate measures. So then the scene moves on, and then you see Jax going to the eatery the calf eatery, to the calf that Sully and Deshane always frequented. And Sully's face, he was like, what the fuck? I thought, Jax, you are brave. Like, she was brave, but she knew what she had to do, because she wanted out, but she didn't want no backlash from coming out in regards to the actions that she took in stealing from Sully. So we knew that was not going to go well with Sully, because at the end of the day, my thing is if she was looking for it out, why didn't she speak to Sully about that in the first place? I don't know if he would have been like understanding in regards to that, but I'm sure he would have sorted something out for her. But as I said, this is the plot. This is the plot of the show. We just had to follow along on this journey that this show was taking us on, in regards to all the journeys of everybody else that we've grown up with and began to love throughout this bloody show. So, well, show, I should say series. So basically, Jackie's looking for a pass. So she said that she will bring the stuff back, but she is looking for a pass. And Sully's like, hell no. At the end of the day, there's no trust, and he can't give her that pass. Because at the end of the day, for Sully, if he's being top dog, if he's being top boy, he can't let it be seen that Jackie's done him that way. He can't let it be seen that Jax has done him that way at the end of the day. And Jack should have known that. With the life that she led and the life that they all live within this realm of top boy, she should have known that. She should have known the rules of the road. At the end of the day, you can't go steal from your first in command, because that's who he was, your first in command, and then think he's going to give you a pass because of who you are. It's not going to work that way, because she is going to be an example to the others of not what to do. Do not cross him. So then, as I said, with all the disharmony that's happening in Summer House, basically, this is where everything just kicks off, and the riot just gets even bigger in terms of people fighting back with the police, in terms of them throwing shit, in terms of them creating fire, in terms of all the chaos that is going on. And majority of the houses that are empty are kind of getting looted and stuff like that. So the only place that Deshane had to run was back to Summer House, where it all began, and he managed to get back into the house that his mum lived in, that they lived in as a family, basically. And he was going through the pictures, and you saw all the pictures of him. You saw the pictures of him younger, when he was with Sully, and all that friendship. So it's kind of coming to a head. All of this is coming to a head in terms of what's happening between Deshane and Sully. So as now Deshane is hiding out there, you see that things come to a head in terms of the riots and everything that's happening at the estate. And you see that the more police get called in. These three kids are playing football, and then the police car runs in, knocks over one of the kids. Now my thing is how you knock off, how are you gonna like literally speed into a built-up estate like that, knowing that there's gonna be people milling about places? and you would be in danger of at least injuring or knocking someone over, but they sped into that place, knocked this poor girl over, then had the audacity to get out of the car to ask if she was all right. Nah, mate, you just fucking knocked her clean off your fucking windscreen. Of course she's not going to be all right. Jax then calls after she spoke to Sully and got the issue, you know, he's not giving her a pass. She goes home, talks to her girlfriend, and then Jax calls Deshane and basically puts Deshane on game to say, look, I took it, I know I did wrong, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to let you know when I'm going to do the drop. And Deshane was like, if you got all of it? And she was like, yeah, I have. And he was like, okay then. Now, this again, the same thing that Kieran thought in calling Deshane, they think they have a protective factor with Sully, not realising that Sully and Deshane are on the outs. Their friendship is literally broken and fractured and never to be put to get back together again in that sense. So they're thinking that Deshane will be able to control and calm Sully, but that horse has bolted. That horse has completely bolted. Sully is no longer controllable. He's an entity on his own, and he's making sure he stays that way. That's why his key perspective was he weren't telling Deshane when shit went down. He wasn't going to tell Deshane about the fact that Jack stole the freaking drugs. He wasn't going to say that they got robbed, they got missing, because he was going to deal with it himself. He didn't want Deshane involved in that at the end of the day, because the key thing is Sully wanted Deshane to look at him like a competent person, that he knew what the fuck he was doing and how he went about it. Because I don't think Deshane gave him the props that he was looking for at the end of the day. So before I close out on this episode though, and all I'm going to say is I'm just going to raise these points, and then you will see why I've raised these points in the very last episode, the penultimate episode, where we see what happens between Sully and Deshane and how it all pans out. But these are the questions or the little points that I'm raising right now. So when I'm thinking about the possibilities of who could off a certain someone, and I ain't gonna say it in this episode because that's saving for the next episode, right? My first thought went to Sai, and this is the reason why it went to Sai. Stefan already done told Dude that it was Sully that killed Jamie. Prior to that, in the gym, he'd already had an inkling that Sully had something to do with Jamie's death, and basically made the comment that he's going to get what's coming to him, so someone's going to done Sully's dance at some point. That dude rode for Jamie, like rode for Jamie hard. They were friends. Dude, as in Sai, gives Stefan a gun, and I think in his mind he already knew that Stefan wasn't the type of kid that would use a gun. Yes, he wants that revenge, but he already knew that Stefan was not the type of kid that will probably use a gun on someone. And also, he already knew that Stefan kind of knew the movements of Sully, especially with Sully's daughter. So he knew what Sully's daughter looked like. Next point is, Sai got humiliated in front of his group when Sully literally hit him and then stuck the gun in his mouth, and then he was sick all over himself. Man got humiliated in front of his group. In those kinds of situations, he would not let that lie. He is not going to let that lie. So all I kept on saying, that these are strikes upon strikes upon strikes in terms of the points that was going on in my head. And they will only make sense when we get to the very last episode, which is coming up very soon. But as I always say, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so when you know when I'm on and doing videos. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Peace out.